Right.
Hello, I'm Rebecca LaRush, and I'm a professor in the English department, and these are my colleagues for our Team Talk course and Humanities Online.
I'm Dorothea Olkowski from the Department of Philosophy.
I'm Roger Martínez from the Department of History.
And I'm Susan Taylor from the Department of English.
So we're here today to give you some background to the course, talk about why this course, why this format, why this topic, but also to give you some insights into the course and its rhythms and into how to succeed in the course. So the first question we wanted to present or answer for you is why the humanities? Why are you taking a HUM course in your junior year at UCCS?
Good. Does anyone want to jump in?
Well, first of all, we know that humanities is a requirement for students at UCCS, but the more important question, at least from our point of view, is why digital humanities? And one of the important aspects of this course that we hope to bring across week by week is the extent to which the digital world is not separate from the humanities world, and that many techniques, a lot of the data, a lot of the information from the digital realm has infiltrated, if you will, into the humanities, and we use it all the time in our work, and we want to teach you how to use it.
I think another value to the humanities that we find in the fact that this kind of course is required in the university, and that the humanities have a long tradition in universities of the last several hundred years and longer, is that the humanities offer ways for us to reflect about what it means to be human. And so as we enter into this digital age, reflecting about what it means to be human is just as crucial, if not more crucial, as we negotiate this new era.
And I'd say probably as the historian in the room, I mean, this is the world that I live in. That it is about history, it is about philosophy, it is about language and art and architecture, and it's all those aspects that make us who we are. And oftentimes, I think, especially with the invasion of technology in all of our lives, we start to become separated from those fundamental elements that make us unique individuals. So in this respect, the university's interest in teaching you the humanities is in many ways to finish that process of becoming someone new and becoming a person that you want to be, not just something that's assigned to you. So through exploring literature, through exploring recipes or exploring cosmologies, you start to discover what's important to you. These are all like central elements of the class.
Right, and this might segue to the next question, which is the topic, because, in terms of, this is the digital humanity, we're looking at what it is to be a human in the digital age, and to recognize that it means something different than 100 years ago, but also continuous with 500 years ago and 1,000 years ago. And so what we're trying to get the big picture and the local and the individual experience, and in some ways that we saw this online HUM unit, the online section, as an opportunity to think about what it is that the online environment and technology is doing for us. So as instructors, we really came to that together.
And I would just add to that, I think also one of the pieces we're all kind of struggling with is we recognize, technology and online classes are here and they're here to stay, but we also don't want to dehumanize the teaching of these concepts. So we've got to figure out some way, and you're here with us, working with us, to figure out some way, how do we study these like basic elements of what it means to be a person, and then in a meaningful way, so there can be meaningful dialogue online, that it's not just you and your computer in a room by yourself, but that you feel connected to the rest of the world. That's the real challenge that we're working on together.
Right. Anything to add?
Well, I would just say that having 4 professors from different areas of the humanities teaching really to a certain extent, the work they love the most is really special, and you're very lucky to be able to have access to this.
Well, everybody except Dorothea's work, which we don't particularly care for. No. She's the organizing principal here.
But they have to read it anyway.
So what are the other things that we want to get across to our students for these major issues?
Well, and I had an idea. I was thinking of this idea of, what it is to be in virtual space and what it is to be human in virtual space. But for me, as someone who works in the early modern period, which is basically 1500 to 1700, 1800, depending on whom you talk to, but I was really thinking about how, we are in a moment of time. We're in a moment when there is a transition from one mode to another, and I'll be talking about this in the first section, but I think that this idea that, to think about ourselves in terms of analogous cultural formations, I think is a really valuable thing. It's to reflect on where we are and where we're going, and to really be, to bring a kind of, humanistic awareness. And that might be repeating earlier, but I just thought I'd fill, that.
Well, and we're very fortunate in the sense too that, one way you can think about the formation of this class and the professors in the class is that Dorothea is very much an integrator of the course, thinking about cosmology, the way the world is created and how it's organized. But then there are temporal points. So everything from ancient, then to medieval, where I'm studying, early modern, and then more towards the modern period. All those things, so you can see there's a temporal connection, but also then there are the disciplines working to establish, well, what does humanity look like from the philosophical perspective? Or what does humanity look like from maybe a literature perspective? And that's the point, is to get a good sense of all the different little pieces of approaching the problem.
Well, and
I was just going to add that one of the things you should take away from your experience of this course is how might each of our disciplines ask certain questions, and how they might answer those sorts of questions. What counts as an important piece of evidence for an argument or an understanding, and all of those dimensions will be part of what we'll be exploring in the course.
Dr. Taylor's point brought to me the idea that that what I wanted to talk about is as the technology as a cultural moment, that this is not just an isolated purview of the computer scientist. As we all know, we're all involved with it at some level, but to actually look at the wider cultural formations and implications is ultimately what we're going to be trying to do in this course. Okay. So we'd also like to talk about the structure of the course, which may seem a little unorthodox, but we think it's got a good rhythm to it, and so I'm here to explain the rhythm. And you should know right from the start that this course began with the demand for online classes. And as I mentioned before, or as I might not be mentioning before, is that this is an opportunity to reflect on what that demand is. Why are we looking to online formats more and more? But what does it mean when we do? So the rhythms of the course are moving towards the last section, but they also move towards a reflection on each section. So there are 3 sections, and the first section is largely an introductory section. So the section, each of us will be taking an opportunity to introduce you to our individual fields and the questions that we see that are driving them, or the overarching problems. Thanks. And so that then at the end of that, you'll have a chance to reflect on what you've learned and bring them together, and to look forward to the last section, which is the digital reflection. But this in between, we're going to be introducing you to our passions, right? the things that we do individually within our respective fields. And so it may seem that they don't coalesce at that particular moment, that there are 4 different courses going on, but bear with us, because what we see those 4 moments are case studies for understanding particular issues that are in cultural studies or English studies or in philosophy or history, that we see that will be a route for you to explore further when you get to the last section, when we're asking you to make the connections to the digital age and to your own experience as online students.
So, in other words, maybe just to summarize, we've chosen in each of our fields of specialization topics and ideas and instances in these case studies that we feel will enable you to explore similar issues and topics in the digital age.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that
Okay.
part so
Okay.
that it takes a little bit of the pressure
Sure.
off one person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just not like this.
Should we just do
No,
that
not like this
and
in
then see
class.
what we might need to
We'll
add
stop
to that?
and we'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so I'm beginning with the fact that
Structure of each 5-week section. And,
Right.
And then.
yeah.
And
So
then-
as you're looking at this, okay.
And then also the writing week, the writing workflow.
Right, the fifth week will be the, okay, and you can all, chime in if you really
Mhm.
have
All
any
right,
interest
great.
too. So you'll notice when you look at the syllabus for this course that, as Dr. LaRoche mentioned, we have it divided into 3 5-week sections, approximately 5-week sections. During each of those 5-week chunks, one of us will be giving a lecture, a video lecture about our area of expertise, and you'll also find in that particular week's folder exercises and assignments for you to complete during that week. So while this is a course where you can, log on in your pajamas and do your work that way, there are still very firm deadlines that you'll need to pay attention to as you work through the class. You'll also notice in looking at the syllabus that we have integrated in weeks 5, 11, and 16 writing workshops, which will be devoted to working on some of the concepts and ideas and content of the papers that you'll be writing for this writing intensive course.
And just to note that the folks that are in your sections are from all majors, and you'll be working with one of us individually, but we're teaching this collectively. So there are 2 different ways that the course is working. There's the coming together around common information and common lectures and assignments, but you'll be working on them in smaller groups of 25.
So each of you is clearly assigned to one of us as your section leader, and that's where we'll have our discussions and our blogs and those sorts of conversations that we couldn't have in a group of 125 students online.
If you are a student who wants to succeed in this course, we have a few suggestions. But I guess I'm starting, and I'm starting from 10 years of teaching online courses, and I want to tell you that it really is all about time management, and this is why it's important that you start by going to the Start Here folder on our course shell, where you will have access to the Smarter Measure, which helps you to self-assess and your readiness to be in an online course and whether you're able to time manage in the ways that you think you might be able to, and don't underestimate how your time management needs in this course. It is also imperative that you use UCCS emails. That is how we communicate. And if you don't have access to your UCCS email, then you need to get that immediately. Another thing is that all assignments will be through and distributed and handed in through Blackboard, and so you must have Blackboard efficiency, and that again is in the Start Here folder. That there's going to be a file that walks you through that.
So we will not accept any assignments that you might try to turn in through email, even through UCCS email. And just to reiterate this idea of time management, you'll notice within each week's folder, the list of items that you'll be working on have very clear due dates and times by which you must turn those assignments in. We don't allow extensions, and this is part of the online learning environment that those things need to be turned in by the date and time that's indicated.
So let me say the first thing that you have to do with regard to your reading assignments is get yourself a digital copy. Notice digital copy, because this is a digital humanity course. A digital copy of the book Worldview, which the link to it is found in several places in the syllabus as well as in the weekly folder. And be sure and get the newest edition, because we will be reading that on and off throughout the semester, and it provides a sort of general grounding for the entire course. So you must start with that. The sooner you have that and start reading it, the better.
You'll find that other readings that we have assigned will be located as PDFs or as links within the weekly folders. So that is where you'll be able to download at no cost the other readings for the course.
As in all humanities classes, this is a reading and writing intensive course. So give yourself time to do the reading. This is also difficult reading. It's rigorous reading. This is not pleasure reading, so to speak, necessarily. That if you usually read a novel 40 pages an hour, double that.
Yeah, very much so.
And other things, this is not self-paced. You should be working throughout the whole week on this course from Monday to Friday. There are assignments due throughout the week. We expect engagement. So if you have only one day a week to dedicate to this course, that's simply not going to be enough.
That's not going to work.
And what you would find, like for example, in a weekly set of assignments, you would have your reading and you complete that. Then you might have to take a quiz that is on a specific deadline. Subsequently, then you might be participating in discussion groups, which would require you, one, to dedicate a day to get your points out, and then subsequently come back to Blackboard and respond to other people's comments. So again, that one-day format doesn't work. You will be in and out of Blackboard Monday through Friday. So be prepared to be fully engaged, and it's very much so digital in that way. We're always online, we're always integrating, always working together. So it's not that discrete time period, it's continuously all during the week.
I mean, the difference between an online course and a face-to-face is obvious, right? You don't have to be on campus at any given moment. But what is important to think about is that just as with a face-to-face class, you have outside class time that you spend on the course, and you have the class time. And so as online professors, we've had to think about, well, what is it that the online class provides and allows for you? Well, as you can show up in your pajamas. But what the other thing is that we don't want you to lose the interaction that is with other students, the idea of community, how you work through ideas in a collaborative manner, and that's what the second half of the week is usually about.
Okay.